What's up, everybody? Welcome back for our Week 4 schedule predictions and power rankings. Today, we got two special guests with us. We got Jeremy and we got Scott. So I'm very excited. Obviously, we're going to go right into this today. It's going to be a little bit different with how we do the power rankings. We're going to speed this up a little bit. We're going to have two going at a time. So you're going to see both mine and Tyler's right now, and then you'll go into Jeremy's and Scott's before we go into the schedule predictions. But obviously there's no movement today, or you're going to see the movement, but I'm sure you can kind of tell. But obviously the big movement that I had probably is going to be Prince's now in my number one spot. I've been a really big fan of Prince's team, and I absolutely hate the fact that he's the team that I have to go up against this week when I'm 0-3 needing a desperate win. But what Prince has built overall with his team is something that I really just... he's going to have to take an injury now at this point in my eyes, or a really big fall off to lose this spot. I mean, Kyren is playing at a very high level. Saquon has not even been playing like himself, and he's still a top 10 running back right now. And I think that the stats are only going to get better for Saquon as the season progresses. CMC is currently the RB2 in our league. I mean, once again, it looks like a phenomenal pick. And until CMC gets hurt, he's gonna potentially have I would say he probably does have the best RB room in the league easily, and he could suffer an injury there and probably still have the best RB room in the league, which is crazy. Obviously Nick Chubb looks like he's holding on to the RB1 role. As the Texans' whole offensive shit, he hasn't been performing, but there really isn't looking like it's going to be Woody Mark season, in my opinion. And there has been no updates on Joe Mixon as of this point. It's already week 4, and they haven't even released a single update on his health. So I have no faith that he's playing at all this season. So I really do think that Nick Chubb will be solid end of season for Prince as a very high-end flex play for him, especially alongside Kyren. And obviously having two tight ends on that team is huge, with Hockenson and Tyler Warren still both performing at a very quality level. Obviously Hockenson hasn't been doing too great, but he did show some good rapport with Carson Wentz, who will be the starter for the next 2 weeks. And at that point, who really knows what's going to happen? I talked about this on my video yesterday. The Vikings are going to be throwing J.J. McCarthy into an absolute fire with the schedule after this European trip. They play like the Eagles, the Lions, I think the Chiefs are... It is like there's not a single easy team in there. The easiest team they have going all the way to December is the Cowboys. And that's not even like that easy of a game. Like, the Cowboys aren't great, but it really isn't. That's probably the one game I would start J.J. McCarthy now. But if Wentz stays the starter, I really like Hockenson a lot more than I did these last 2 weeks going into the season. Obviously, I have Scott going into my number 2 spot now over Jeremy. Jeremy was my original number 1. Obviously, both these guys on the call right now. I did move Jeremy down just because of the James Conner injury. Me and Tyler have previously mentioned these rankings are an end of our season rankings and how I think the whole season will go. And I think that losing James Conner is going to hurt Jeremy a lot, considering Travis Etienne is in a timeshare, not as big of a timeshare right now, but I can only see his role getting smaller. I don't see Tutin's role getting smaller in that offense. And Jordan Mason, obviously, Aaron Jones is going to come back at some point, and he is going to be the RB1, I believe, Jordan Mason. But Aaron Jones is going to get his touches in that offense, whether that be 5 to 10 touches. It's going to hurt Mason's value, and it's going to bring him down a level in the RB rankings. And obviously, Derrick Henry right now hasn't been looking great. You obviously have a very weak tight end room, and the QB2 isn't strong right now. Sam Darnold hasn't been amazing. Cam Ward hasn't been amazing. So I really think that Connor, the injury to Connor is going to hurt you a lot more than a lot of people think. But you do have a lot of guys that can easily step it up and take on roles that, if things go in your favor, which a lot of the season has already, it won't look like that much of a loss at the end of the season, which is why I still have you as a top 3 team. But I do think that hit to the depth is going to hurt, especially on bye weeks. Into my 4 spot, I do have Panchez. I don't recall if I did have Panchez this high. I actually had them in my number 8 spot last week. So I have them moving all the way up to 4, and I think that's because just a lot of the guys are just consistently performing well for them. I mean, Daniel Jones, at this point, he's gonna really just have to turn things another 180 to not be a potential top 15, top 10 quarterback in fantasy this year. He's been unreal with that offense, and with the weapons he has there, the sky's the limit right now with the Colts offense, as long as Daniel Jones can play at the level that he's playing at. J.K. Dobbins has pretty much solidified himself as an RB1, which I think is huge for Panchez, in my opinion, because obviously you had Harvey and Dobbins, and going into the season, it looked more like a 50-50 kind of timeshare. But now that it's more of a 85-15 timeshare, that really looks good for your team going 3 weeks into the season. And Dobbins has only maintained his role, if anything, gotten better week to week. So I like what he's got there. Obviously, Amon-Ra is just going to keep scoring new touchdowns. I think he's leading the league in touchdowns since he's gotten into the league. So you want guys that get into the end zone. He's the tight end, a wide receiver 2 in fantasy right now, so he's been a beast. And I mean, Olave has been performing well. Kraft has been performing well. The Mike Evans injury hurts, but it's looking like a mild grade 2 hamstring strain from what I'm hearing. So it could only be like 2-3 weeks there. So obviously being at 2-1, you could kind of take that hit a little bit as well. I want to go to the bottom of my rankings a little bit. Obviously, I have the Ducks, Riley, Soria there. I feel like that's going to be a common occurrence with our bottom teams right now, including myself, most likely. Or, yes, most likely. But I personally have Soria at the bottom because the QB2 situation isn't solidified past 2 weeks right now. A couple of the guys just overall aren't performing the way they should be. And I think that you have to kind of pray that Wentz stays that QB2 right now to not be last in the league. But if Wentz can maintain that QB2 spot, he'll easily move up the rankings a little bit because I do think the rest of his team is pretty quality. But, I mean, he's lacking with a couple of the flexes in the QB2 long term. So, and being 0-3, it's looking rough right now. And obviously Riley as well, another 0-3 team along with myself. Have him at that 10 hole. Just the lack of depth there, man. I mean, he's got no flexes over 10 points per game unless you want to start Isaiah Pacheco, who's literally not going to hit 10 points per game. So, again, just not really a fan of what's going on there. But Trey Benson, obviously, a huge benefit to his team getting that. So, a bit of a lifeline. Hopefully he can float around, get Kittle back, get Lamb back, get Rice back, and maybe things will work out for him in the end. Maybe he sneaks into that 8 seed. I think that's what we're all fighting for at this point. Obviously the Ducks right above there. Not too much to say on the Ducks team, besides they're just kind of a little bit better than them and a little worse than everyone else. Plus they have a win, which kind of helps at this point when like we literally can't find wins. And in the middle, I think my bigger faller was probably Alec. Just not a fan of Alec's team anymore. Just not a fan of it. I don't think it's gonna succeed long term. I think somebody's gonna get hurt, and I'm just gonna start predicting things now. Just not a fan of Alec's team long term. And then Levitz, Tyler Packoff. Again, that's just kind of like very similar, those teams. Personally, just think I like Levitz's team a little more, especially after the Terry trade. I do think it hurt him a little bit, losing out on Scatterbo, but I do think Terry's going to be very good long-term this season once he gets back from that injury. If he does miss at the time, it'll probably just be one game. Levitz, obviously, being 1-2, that does hurt a little bit. But you traded for Terry because you got a very strong rest of your lineup, which is what I like. And Judkins, Brees, Baker. I mean, honestly, now that I'm looking at it, I mean, the last flex with Turf and Ramondre did kind of hurt there a little bit, seeing Ramondre. But, I mean, again, these teams are all very similar.
Actually 2-1.
He is 2-1. Oh, shit. I forgot.
Yeah,
yes, he was 2-0 and then lost this week. I thought he was 1-1. But yeah, no, I mean, that helps it even more, in my opinion, that he's 2-1 with the Terry injury this week. But that's just kind of my rankings, Tyler. I hand the show to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start it off from the bottom just to kind of get it out of the way. I do agree with you, Lawson, that I have to have Soria at the bottom for now. Obviously, just the lack of depth and obviously not having a QB2 long term hurts. I agree with you there completely. But there is a chance that Wentz keeps the job, like you were getting into. So
Not
there's a
going
chance of
to
it,
not to
but
cut you off real quick, but funny enough, as we just saw Terry McLaurin report just came out that Terry is currently visiting a core muscle injury specialist, Dr. William Myers, to
Wow.
evaluate the quad injury. So potentially actually is
Wow.
worse than we thought. So
It's not
That's
good.
that is
that
not a
that
good
could be
sign.
bad for Levitt.
That is not
That
a
could
good
be a rough
sign.
one. And the trade so far, by the way, I will have to admit, getting into Lawson's team, I do have you going into the 10 spot, but
We're
it's
up.
much improved.
We're up one.
I
We're
think
up one.
every single deal, I think every single deal that has been made by Lawson so far is a win for him, to be honest. I do think it's still a lot to overcome having a very shallow RB room. Like Scadaboo is looking like a good RB2, but that's literally his RB2, and then there's nobody else after that right now. So
Just
you
picked
did
up
pick
Ollie
up Ollie
Gordon.
Gordon. I'll give you that I'm an idiot for dropping him. Of course he goes off the second I dropped him, but it is what it is. But it's something at least. So the RB room it's him getting there.
Not too long
JT's got to
ago, we
step
saw
up.
that Dolphins offense producing two very quality running backs in A-Chain and Mostert.
I like Ollie Gordon. I had him as on my team the whole season so far because I thought he could be a depth option. It wasn't looking too bright until, of course, the second I was forced to drop him, that it had to go. He had to do well, so it stinks, but it is what it is. But I do really like the core of the receiving room that you have here. There's a lot of good options there. Maybe you don't have that top tier guy, but there's just a lot of quality in that receiving room. And obviously the quarterback room is great, so it's big. So I do think this team has potential. It's just you got to get in the win column. 0-3, it's just a tough place to be in, and that's why I do have Riley in the 9 spot as well, in that 0-3 record, and having this many injuries and suspensions, whatever. It's just tough. Like Trey Benson, I think is absolutely huge. I would have loved to move Riley's team up because of that. I think that's a very good RB2 for the rest of the season. But it's like you lose CeeDee Lamb for the next 3-4 weeks, something like that. So it's just a huge hit that this lineup is looking very grim in the short term. And at 0-3, it's really hard to overcome that. That was kind of my knock on Riley's team from the start, that it's just going to be hard to make the playoffs with that sort of team. I mean, the upside is unbelievable with CeeDee Lamb, Rashee Rice, George Kittle, maybe Mixon. I mean, now Trey Benson and A-Chain. Like, this is a massive upside swing if it can somehow sneak into that 8 spot, like you were saying, in the playoffs. I do really like some of the pieces he has. But it might be time to start selling him off and try and make a playoff push. I know it's only 3 weeks in, but it's not looking like wins are coming anytime soon either with this lineup.
No. No.
Then moving into the Ducks, I have them. They're 1-2 right now, and they're in the 8th spot. It's like, yeah, you were kind of alluding to it too. Nothing's really changed too much, but obviously he has a young team. You're assuming it's going to ascend a little bit. I do a little bit disagree with you on the Nick Chubb thing. I think Woody Marks started to make a little bit of a stride last week. He was kind of getting close to that 40-50% snap share. He's not going to be the lead rusher maybe, but he's going to split time and he's going to have a receiving role there. So I think that was a good
Was the
pickup by
snap
him.
share that high
I know
for him?
Jake.
Kind of surprised.
Yeah, I know Jake was huge on Woody Marks, so it makes sense he went out and claimed him last week. But I think the snap share is getting closer to a split there. Nick Chubb will probably have the in between the lines carries, but I think Woody Marks honestly could be eventually the more valuable back in that offense just because of the receiving role.
That'd be big for
But
him.
in reality, looking at the Ducks, it's just tough with Travis Hunter being so brutal right now. Calvin Ridley hasn't shown anything either. That receiving room is just looking pretty grim, and it's just tough to put together flexes in this lineup right now. Plus, they don't even seem to have a tight end that's actually healthy to play this week right now. So that's a little tough as well. Maybe Noah Fant can be okay, but he has a concussion. And Jatavion, who he traded for, is like out for 4 weeks at least. So brutal.
That trade was so brutal. Like,
I turned
Yeah,
actually
Jatavion
somehow got worse,
Sanders into
but it
Johnny
got
Smith
worse.
and DK Metcalf.
Yeah, literally that's what it was because you traded Golden for DK and traded Mooney for Jonas. It's
Jatavion
crazy.
saved my season.
That's crazy.
was
So
somewhat.
yeah, that was a ridiculous deal. It's an A+ and F obviously, but moving into the Levitts team, I do have them in the 7th spot, which is solid. I basically have a lot of these teams in the middle staying where I had them last week, and none of my reasoning has changed much. I think Levitt's is a solid core. I think Judkins is huge for him. It's a nice RB2, but I kind of wish he still had Scadaboo to be a 3rd option. But I think it's a solid team for sure. And Panch is in the 6th spot. I predicted them to get that win over Levitt's, and they did get it, so I'm going to keep them over them for now. but losing Mike Evans for a couple weeks kind of hurts as well. So we'll see what he puts into the lineup this week against me. Hoping I can pull off a win against them, but it should be a good matchup. Backups lineup is looking really good. I have them in the 5 spot, but I mean they're looking good. With CeeDee Lamb out, it's unbelievable to say. Jake Ferguson's been absolutely insane. I talk so much shit about him, and
Dude, me too. I
Makoff was
did not
talking to
like
me. I was
Ferguson.
talking to Makoff the other day, and he was like, "You see what Ferguson did?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean it is what it is. When CeeDee's back, it won't be much." I didn't realize he had 13 catches.
Yeah.
That's just unbelievable stuff for Jake Ferguson. So, I mean, that's looking like a good play in the tight end spot. I'm not relying on Chimere Dike like he is, or whatever you say his name, but
The Dyke.
that was an interesting trade in my opinion. I don't know. This it's a very shallow team. That's the issue with it right now. With Tracy going down as well. There's not much depth, but the top core of it is a really good core, so it's got potential there. And then I do have my top 4 remaining the same. Just I have Alec and Scott switching it up, but Prince I still have in the 4th spot. And I agree with you. This team it's really looking good. That running back core is definitely the best in the league. So it's just hard to pick against a team when you have Saquon and CMC in the lineup, and
And
the rest of it's not
Kyron.
a bad lineup
Like
anyway.
Kyron is very
Yeah,
good.
and Kyron's producing as well. Yeah, it's definitely the best running back core in the league for sure. And even my number 2 spot for running backs was Jeremy, but that falls off now with Connor. So he's really unquestioned in the running back room right now. Ade did move down once, and it's a little bit. It does involve the running back room. Is in reality is why I moved it down a little bit, but not because his fell off a little bit. He has Ken Walker and Charbonnet, and then he has Tony Pollard. It's really all he's got with those 2 guys. They do move Alex running back room up a little bit with James Cook, Montgomery, and Javonte Williams looking good, and it's been consistent. So for now, I'm gonna move that running back room up into like the 7 spot, which puts them into this 2 hole. We got Alec in the 2 spot, and Jeremy, even with James Conner injury, the reason why he was in the 1 spot, he had the depth. He had the depth, and so now his running back room is back to like a normal running back room, which is still a really good one.
Yeah.
I do agree with you that it's a huge loss, but he had a lot of depth, so it's kind of just made it a little bit more even, and that reflects in my rankings. In reality, from 1 to 11, they are a lot closer than they were last week. The spread is a bit smaller now, so I do think it's getting closer in reality, but I do have Jeremy to stay on top for this week.
All right, so now we're gonna move into both of our guest power rankings, and we got Scott and Jeremy's up on the screen. Scott, you want to start?
Yeah, I guess I'll start from the top since I've actually had Packoff at number 1, which is very different than you guys. And I'll start reason number 1. Right now they're 2-1 and they have the most points scored in the league by like a good amount right now, like 20, 25 points, I think. And I'm like, they're top of their team I really like. I mean, Puka has been incredible. Gibbs has been incredible. Rome looks like the wide receiver 1 on the Bears right now. I mean, he looked really good. I think Lad's going to turn around, and I know Tyler mentioned this already with Ferguson, especially with CD out. I mean, he's been a target hog the last 2 weeks with 12 and 14 targets, so that production at the tight end spot is really good. And then their last 2 flexes are meh. I think Matthew Golden could break out. I mean, he looked better last week, and Drake Mays looked good, and he can pick right between Geno and Penix. I really like his team, so I have him at 1. At 2, I do have Vader, who I would have had 1 without the Connor injury, but it's been mentioned by both Lawson and Vader. I do like his core. I mean, his receiver room, I really do like, especially with Mike Evans now and Mecca. I mean, he looked really good against the Jets last week. I mean, some crazy catches.
Insane.
Henry will
catches.
turn around. I mean, that one-hand catch was insane. He also had another catch
That like
was not
bobbled
called a
one that
catch.
he like caught on the sideline.
That was a catch.
That was 100% a catch.
That was
He's
a
He's
catch.
so good. So good.
Insane. I messed up in Dynasty,
Jeremy's
but that's
loving
another
this.
story for another day. Picking Caleb over him looks like a really bad pick, but forget about that. But Derrick Henry will turn around. The fumble issues are rare for him. Maybe just a farther time. I don't think so, but I'll have Jeremy at my number 2 spot. I had Prince at my number 3 spot. I don't really need to get into it. I agree kind of with like what Lawson and Ty said. And at number 5, we do have Tyler. I think I had Tyler than what Lawson had him at. One of the reasons Hampton with Najee injury right now, he's looking like an RB1. He looked like that last week. Neighbors, I think, will be better with Star. I know he's been great with Ross, but I feel like a rookie quarterback will look for that number one receiver, and Neighbors that guy. Warren looks like the Steelers running back one, and then he should get Godwin and Worthy back, which would be huge for him, like in the flex spot, which would be big for him, like getting that production more back. Replacing like Hollywood for like Worthy, and I think Kelsey could be better too. So I have Tyler at my number 4 spot. At number 5, I have Sanchez. I don't really need to get into like the reasoning why. Like him and Alec are between my 5 and 6. The reason I just put Sanchez over Alec, I just like his team more. I don't really know what else to say about that. Like the 2 tight ends
That's
I
fair.
do like.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reasoning behind it. I just like the team more. And then at 7, I have Levitt. And then at the bottom 4, which we all kind of have, I have the Ducks at 8. So I had Sorry actually at 9. I just like his flex score more than the other 2 teams. I had your team, Lawson, at 10. And I feel like it could move up once if you get a win on the board. Like the trades you made really improved it, I do feel like. Pickens will actually be better. That helps to see the injury the next couple of weeks. Same thing with Scadaboo. I believe Genty will turn it around. So I feel like your team could be up on the move. I feel like you need to get a win first.
I need
And
a
then
win.
Yeah.
and then I have
That's a good
Riley in the
point.
last spot. His flexes are just like kind of putrid right now. But once he gets like the injuries started back,
Yeah.
like
They are.
I don't know what to say. I just don't like them.
They're
Like
putrid.
Tuden, Dig, Shakir, like I don't think Keenan's gonna keep this up. Marvin Mims has not been great. Like I don't think Jawan Johnson's gonna keep it up. I don't love Bo Nix, so yeah, pretty much it.
Diggs has been horrible this year for him.
Yeah. That's completely fair analysis, I think.
Yeah, I got
A lot
nothing.
of valid points
All right,
in your,
Jeremy.
in your analysis, Scott. I liked it. Yeah, I mean,
I
I'll,
didn't
I'll
want to do it too long because a lot of the same points I kind of agreed with Tyler and Austin, so I kind of want to repeat the same thing over and over again.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Smart.
I'm the same way. I won't harp on any team for too long, but I'll start at the bottom. I got Riley here. You lose CeeDee Lamb for a few weeks. You get Trey Benson, but it still doesn't matter. Like you said, these flexes are rough. So I got Riley in my last spot. Then I got Soria in my 11th spot. I like his running back room, obviously. You got Irving, Jacobs, and Chuba. But this receiver room is just rough, and I think the quarterback situation is not ideal either, obviously. You know, you lose Burrow, that's going to sting, but I'm just not the biggest fan of this receiver room. I mean, we'll see with Addison, but that quarterback situation is sketchy, and there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense, so that's a question mark as well. Then in my 10 spot, I got the Ducks. I think there's upside here. I mean, you have Allen, Taylor, Travion Henderson. I do think there is upside. There's just a lot of not so good stuff in this lineup right now. I mean, starting Woody Marks and Malik Washington maybe this week. Hunter and Ridley not panning out is really going to be a killer. They do have a win already, so that is something. And like I said, you have Allen and Taylor. I think that just gives you at least some upside because if some of these flex plays end up putting up 10 to 15 points, it's a good shot. He could win. So that was in my 9th spot. In my 8th spot, I do have Lawson here. Lawson's 0-3, which is obviously not ideal. But I actually do like his lineup a lot, and like you guys have said, he's made a lot of good deals. He just got Scadaboo for the next few weeks, who we know is going to be pretty good. I think better days are ahead for Genty as well. Pickens gets a boost. I think Marv is due for some better days as well. And he's got Lamar and Kyler, which are 2 incredible quarterbacks. So I think if he just had one win, I think the outlook could be a lot more pretty down the line. But 0-3 is rough, but there's still a ton of time, and I think his actual roster is pretty good. So then at 7, I got Panchez. So Panchez so far, solid start to the season. I can't find their team on my phone. There we go. Sorry. The quarterbacks are not good. I'm not a big believer in Daniel Jones. I think it's kind of going to crash and burn at some point, as like the Colts in general. But obviously, he's been playing really well so far. But the skill positions on this team are, probably one of the best in the league between Bijan, Amon-Ra, Tyreek Hill, Trey McBride. Olave's been great. He's been a target machine. Kraft's been really good as well. You lose Evans for a few weeks. I think he'll probably miss about two or so weeks, so that's gonna hurt a little. But just think the upside is a little bit capped because the quarterback room is just not great. So that's my reasoning for having them a little bit lower here. Then in my sixth spot, I got Levitz. Levitz has he's 2-1, so that's been a nice surprise for him. I know he was, no one was loving his team going into the first week, but Quinshawn obviously already looking like a major steal, so that's great for him. I think Brock Bowers is due for some better days ahead. I know it's been not the most ideal start for him, but I just I think this was like an appropriate spot. I think he's kind of in the middle of the pack right now.
Yeah.
So I'll move on to my fifth spot here. This is where I got Tyler. Tyler just got a boost with Hampton. Najee's going to be out for the year, so Hampton should probably be a borderline RB1 going forward for the rest of the season. And I really like the QB room with Mahomes and Stroud. I think it's got a pretty safe floor with some upside, similar to some of the other guys I've mentioned. Stroud, I think, also has some better days ahead. Neighbors is great, obviously. Not the biggest fan of Devontae Smith. It's just a run-first offense. And he should be getting Worthy back soon, so that, kind of offsets with Hollywood Brown because he's been pretty solid, but overall I think Worthy's better than him, so I think you get a little bit of a boost there. And then Kelsey and Kincaid both have been pretty solid so far. I think their production has been on par with what you were expecting, so overall solid team. I think his lineup is solid. I don't know if it's incredible, but I think week to week he'll be a pretty safe bet to be a decent matchup against anyone. Then in my fourth spot, I do have Prince here. The upside is probably one of the highest in the league with Saquon, CMC, Kyron. But I think the rest of the team is where I'm not the biggest fan of, and that's the only reason I have him a little bit lower. Tight end room is great with Warren and Hawkinson, but the quarterbacks and receivers, I'm personally not the biggest fan of. So that just pushed him down a little bit for me. And just CMC and Saquon being a little bit older and having some injury history, with the amount of touches they get and the workload that they carry, could lead to some injuries. Never know, but if he stays healthy, this is definitely not a team I want to face in the playoffs, with those superstars.
Mm-hmm.
Then heading into my top three, I got Alec here. I think Alec's team is very well rounded, but I also think he's due for some positive regression. Brian Thomas and Drake London have not really been that amazing so far. They haven't really been playing up to the ADP that he took him at, and he's still 2-1. So I think there's room for growth here. I think those guys are gonna get better as the season goes on. And then James Cook looks pretty safe to be an RB1 the rest of the year. He looks great. Montgomery, he'll at least be safe to be 10 to 15 points a week. I don't know if he's gonna do what he did last week.
If he stays healthy.
Sorry, Lawson.
If he stays healthy.
Yeah. But overall, I think the team is pretty solid. He should be getting Jaden Daniels back as well, so that's another boost to his lineup. And he just got a full-time starter in Jackson Dart for his third quarterback for the rest of the year. So having three
Russ
quarterbacks
already,
as well
though,
helps.
So I guess it didn't really
True.
change much for him.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, I didn't realize he had Russ. That's my bad. But yeah, overall, he's got a few guys on the bench like Downs, Dubs, Andrews. Not terrible for bye weeks or injuries. So overall, I think Alec's team is looking pretty good for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So moving into my 2 spot, I got Makoff. This is probably the best core in the league with Gibbs, Kamara, Ladd, Puka. That's incredible. And Rome. Rome's looked great. Ferguson's looking really good as well. Drake May has rushing upside. Overall, very, very well-rounded team. I think he's going to be good the whole year. Not sure the depth is the greatest, so if he does get another injury outside of Tracy, starting lineup could get a little sketchy, but overall, I really love the core, and I think it's going to be good for the long term as well. Then, unfortunately, in my number 1 spot, this definitely hurt me a little, but I do have Scott here. I love the team on draft day, and can't say that much has changed. For once, he actually went with a ton of upside by getting 2 stacks, and I think they're both going to end up working out really well. The Hurts A.J. Brown stack. A.J. Brown picked it up last week, so I think he's also in for some better days ahead for the rest of the year. And G-Dub and Justin Fields, I think, is going to be pretty good as well. Nico Collins, I think, is due for some positive regression. I think, it's just the whole offense is in a bit of a rut right now. But Deebo Samuel's been great. Tony Pollard's been great. Ken Walker's been solid, and he's got Sharp if he goes down. But overall, Scott's team is, I'd say, probably the team to beat, and that's why he's in my number one spot.
It's a very fair analysis.
Like to hear that.
I know Scott's happy to hear that. He's grinning over there.
Having Scott
Okay.
and Alec in my top three was brutal.
That's a hard
That was
one.
brutal. That was a tough pill to swallow, but
All right,
And
so
when I have to put Tyler up there is gonna hurt. So
yeah, that hurt too, obviously.
Tyler is like my biggest thing about
You gotta get
Tyler's
up there.
team is like I don't know, like I'm personally not a biggest fan of the depth because I feel like a lot of the depth is like guys that he already has, you know what I mean? Like he has Minung guy, but like he's only valuable if Swift goes down, and he has Swift. He's got Hollywood playing right now, but that's because Worthy's down. Like the only real depth he has, in my opinion, is Godwin. He picked up Haskins for Hampton. He's got Gainwell for Warren.
I think Strange is also not a bad backup tight end. It's third tight end, but not a bad guy to have as a spot flex play.
yeah.
No, yeah, you're not. I don't hate Tyler team at all. Like I have him in that middle range. I just think the depth is a little bit questionable in my opinion for it. But as is with most teams, I mean, at the end of the day, if you've got Godwin on
Yeah,
your bench as
three
one
flex
play,
full
it
person
works.
league.
Yeah. All right,
I think
though.
it's gonna be hard
So
to find for that.
we're gonna move into our first game on the slate, and that is gonna be yours truly, me versus Prince. So, if one of you guys want to take the floor here, I personally, I'll leave it to one of you guys because it's looking like Tyler's having some technical difficulties right now. So I'll leave it up to one of you
Wanna
guys.
start,
But
Paige? Since I
Yeah,
started
yeah,
last time.
I'll go for it. I think this is gonna be a pretty good matchup. Like I said, I think Lawson's team I think it could give everyone a decent matchup. I think I also said that about Ty's team. But overall, I probably am gonna lean towards Prince on this one, just off a quick glance here. Pickens has not the greatest matchup against Green Bay. Same with DK against Minnesota. Same with Marv against Seattle, and same with T. Higgins against Denver. Not the greatest matchups across the board there. Lamar also against Kansas City.
dude, it's so
just not the most
tragic for me, bro. It's actually
not the
so
most
tragic.
ideal. Yeah, and then Jordan Love against Dallas, I think will be good. CMC against Jacksonville, that might be a 30 bomb if not more. And overall, like I said, I ranked Prince's team higher to begin with, and I think the matchups are more in his favor this week. So I'm gonna lean to Prince on this one.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that as well. I really like more like Prince's matchups this week. I mean, Chubb against the Tennessee defense is not a good rushing defense. Barkley, well, I think he's gonna have a good week this week. T-Mac could have a 25 against Jacksonville. I mean, Cortland Sutton against Cincinnati, who's not a great defense. Quentin Johnson against the Giants. I feel like Herbert keeps on passing the ball and finding him, so I kind of like that. And TJ against Pittsburgh, who just went up like 2 touchdowns to Hunter Henry, and a Dallas defense that looked pretty bad. That led Russell Wilson for 450 yards for Jordan Love. I just feel like the matchup for Prince's team were better for Lawson's team. So I'm going to go with Prince 165.3 to Lawson 149.2.
Oh,
Wow.
we've got
You're throwing a
score
whole-
predictions?
You're throwing a whole score
Oh
prediction in.
shit!
Oh
yo,
my.
if Scott correctly predicts, and I'm only giving this one to Scott. If you correctly predict any of the scores by like 1 point on both of the sides, I'll Venmo you $10. Like, no questions asked. If you could just manage to pull that off, like it has to be
Wow.
within 1 point. I'll give
That's
you
not
10
gonna
bucks.
happen. All right. I mean,
I don't think it'll happen. I'll give you $10 if you can manage to pull that one off.
Okay.
It's
Hope that
$10
happens
down the
then.
toilet. Use a wizard.
Wow.
Tell me 5 matchup, then it's $50.
I'll give you $10 if you manage to predict like multiple matches. I'll give you $10 for each matchup if you predict in like the 1 point
Wow.
range on each side.
Okay.
Wow. I do think Lawson actually has some pretty good matchups on his side, though. I could see
Really?
this having a little bit of upset potential because you do have the full lineup looking solid this week with Seattle being a full RB2, and the flexes are strong, I think. Especially, you have your boy Higgins against Riley Moss this week, which I think could be big. So I like
Yeah,
I like the
that might be
flexes.
so tragic to watch.
Just the Bengals
I
offense
like
looked so bad last week.
yes, they're gonna
That's
have
the
to throw the
thing.
ball.
The
They're gonna have to throw the
Broncos
ball.
are the Broncos are gonna be due though. Like we are gonna come out with
Yeah,
a vengeance to win.
possible for sure. I think it'll be a little closer than people expect on a Monday night game. And
Yeah, I
I
feel like
I
prime
think
times are always
I like
closer.
Pickens. I like Pickens with CD out. So it's another good option there. He could have a huge boom game. Obviously, the floor is safer with a team like Prince having that sort of upside. So I am struggling because I do kind of want to go with an upset, but it's tough to pick against Prince right now. That's the thing. I'm tempted though. I'm not gonna lie. I'm tempted to go with an upset here. I don't really love Nick Chubb against the Titans. Like I think the flexes could actually be a pretty decent swing in the favor of Lawson if it goes his way. I've been doing safe picks throughout this whole way though, so I guess I'll go with Prince, and I don't feel too confident about it though. It's Prince. I like Prince's team here. It's hard to pick against him this week, so
My
I'll go
team's
with
got
Prince in the
grit
end.
this week. We're pulling
I'm
out
gonna
all the
say I could
stops.
see an upset. I really could see the upset.
We got DK, Pickens, and Scat on the same team now. We're gonna cause some noise.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a feisty team.
All the meatheads.
So
Jeremy, you ended up going Lawson, or what'd you go? You
no,
went Prince in this
we've
one?
got all three in favor of Prince right now.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I'm so tempted to switch it, but I guess I can't for safety purposes. But it's actually I could see it being an upset for once.
I personally like, even like looking at my team, I would pick Prince. Like yeah, that's just me. I need like
I'm not that
I need shit to
confident
go in
in
my favor though. Like I
I'm
could
not that
easily see
confident in a lot of
myself winning.
Prince's guys. Like a guy like Sutton, QJ, Nick Chubb. I don't think it's that great.
I feel like
I
if
obviously
one
think
of
the
Kyron,
Saquon
CMC, and
CMC is
Saquon
huge,
have a bad game, I'm gonna take this.
which is possible. I don't know. Like Saquon, if he puts up 13 like he did last week, that's not ideal. And it's like
Because I
Kyron too.
do,
Like
if
he's got to
anything,
get in
like
the end zone.
Genti's got a really good matchup for me. Out of all the matchups, Genti's probably got the most favorable matchup going against Chicago.
Oh man, I'm almost getting talked into switching it too. I'm not gonna lie. It's close.
I don't even like want to talk you into switching to me because then I'm gonna end up losing
I
this and fucking your record.
Yeah, I think a 20 point whatever this is projection swing is pretty crazy. I feel like it's a lot closer than that.
Yeah, Prince has got a 25-point swing on me right now.
I'm gonna keep it with Prince winning, but I'm putting it in my notes so I could see a loss and upset.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, let's move into our next game on the slate, and that's gonna be Tyler versus Panchez. Another interesting matchup, battle of the 2-1 teams, and funnily enough, we're seeing an almost 10-point swing in the favor of Panchez going into the matchup based off projections. So I'll give my thoughts on this matchup first, and I think that this matchup, funnily enough, heavily depends on if Jawan Jennings is going to play football or not. I think that if Jawan Jennings doesn't play, I don't really see anybody in Ben's lineup that he would A, be able to pick up in waivers and we feel confident, or B, even just play. Because it's not Harvey right now, it's not Mike Evans. I have no faith in Christian Kirk. So Jawan has to play for me to want to consider Panchez's team in this matchup. I do actually like a lot of what Panchez has going on. Obviously, New Orleans versus Buffalo looks rough, but I think New Orleans is going to pass the ball a lot. And from what it's seen, I mean, Olave's a target hound. He's getting like an average of like 11, 12 targets a game. So there's like pretty much like 10-point floor, double-digit floor there with Olave that I really love to see out of a flex, even if the ceiling is only like 15, 16 without the touchdown. Uh, Obviously, Amon-Ra going against Cleveland could be good, could be bad, because if that game gets too much of a blowout, how many trick plays and deep balls are we going to see to Amon-Ra? We'll probably just see a very ground and pound game. But their run defense is strong, so we'll see what happens there. But overall, when I go to Tyler's team, I just really like kind of what Tyler is putting on this week in terms of his lineup. Worthy should be healthy, I think, going into this week. So I do think Worthy will hit the lineup. And even then,
Really
I do
hoping so.
actually like the prospect of Godwin playing in the lineup over Hollywood Brown either way, and that still being a benefit to you. Obviously, Hampton, RB1, going against the Giants. That could be a slaughter fest for the Chargers. Even if it's a close game, we'll probably see a lot of Hampton usage. CJ Stroud needs a bounce back game, and Tennessee is like the perfect team to have a bounce back game against, in my opinion. This one has like 30-point Texan win, Brian Callahan fired after the game, all written like over it, in my opinion. Like I could 100% see that happening. That's why I personally stayed away from Titans players in almost every league, just because like even like the Tony Pollards and the Calvin Ridleys at this point. Like I do think that the one head coach that is going to get fired midseason without a doubt is going to be Brian Callahan, and I'm just not a big fan of for the most part with interim head coaches coming in and being able to produce quality fantasy talent. I feel like you don't really see that often. But
Yeah, I agree with you.
I mean, again, looking at the rest of the lineup, you have Kincaid, Kelsey, both in your lineup. Both those guys are playing at a pretty quality level. Obviously, Kincaid coming off a big week should probably replicate that the first couple of drives versus the Saints, as long as it doesn't become too much of a blowout. Which I really, if anything, I think that game actually has the potential to be a little bit closer than a lot of people think. Funnily enough, because obviously the Saints are terrible, but I think the Bills are gonna keep it just like a play their game, like almost like they know they're gonna win the whole time. So why try and do anything risky? Just they'll run the ball. They'll probably score like 3 touchdowns. They'll waste a lot of the clock. Like I could see that happening too in that game. I think the one matchup though out of Tyler's entire team that I like is Swift versus the Raiders. I think Swift is pretty much in it. He needs mentally, he has to know that Monangai is coming up on him at this point in time, and he wants to. Who in the NFL wants to lose their role? Nobody does. And I think that the Raiders are another perfect team, kind of like how I like Stroud, and I think that Swift could have a huge bounce back game, probably a 20+ point performance against the Raiders. And that's again just because I think the Raiders are such a bad team that a team like the Bears coming off such a dominant win, and the one guy that really didn't perform kind of out of like the guys was kind of Swift, in my opinion. The rushing totals just weren't there, and you saw Monangai do pretty decent with the touches that he got. I mean, it's just not going to get you anywhere when you're running for 13 carries, 33 yards. Obviously, he had 5.3 yards per carry week 2, but you go back to week 1, he had 3.1 yards per carry again. So he has to know at this point, especially with the bye week coming up, that he's got to step it up, and this is the perfect week to do that. So I'm going to lean towards Tyler in this matchup, even though I have Panchez predicted higher, just because I really like a couple of the matchups on Tyler's side. I think a lot of these matchups are due for the guys that haven't been performing well.
Yeah, I guess I'll go next. I'm actually on the flip side of things a little bit. I'm probably going to go with Sanchez in this matchup. So I'll start out on their side of the board. So Daniel Jones against the Rams. It's not a great matchup, and I do think he's going to crash and burn at some point. So we'll just move past that. I don't think that's a great matchup for him.
I think this
But
is the
Bijan
matchup
against
for him to
Washington.
crash and burn in potentially. Like I like the
I
Rams a
agree.
lot.
He could have a
I
shitter.
agree.
Mhm.
I agree. But despite that, I do like a lot of his other matchups. Bijan and JK are both set up to probably put up over 20 points this week, getting Washington and Cincinnati. They should both do very well. This could be a possible 30 bomb out of Bijan. Plus, Falcons are going to be looking for a huge bounce back week after that disgusting performance against the Panthers. Amon-Ra against Cleveland. I think this is a really, really good matchup. Surprisingly, Cleveland's run defense has been probably like top 5 in the NFL this year. They've absolutely locked down everyone. And I think this is going to force them to throw the ball a little bit more. And who's their number one guy in the passing game? It's Amon-Ra. So I think I could see him seeing 8 to 10 targets this game. I think it's going to be a really good game for Amon-Ra. Tyreek Hill against the Jets. Jets have been pretty burned by wide receivers this season. I think Tyreek Hill has a pretty good game here, and if he has a decent game, I think that also means Tua could have a decent game. Pretty sure the Dolphins are home for this one, right? They're home.
Yeah, they are.
So.
I was gonna say it's really the rushing defense that's been pretty bad. I mean, the whole defense has been bad, but
I think the whole unit's been struggling.
I was gonna say, I
Dolphins at
honestly,
home.
I'm not too big of a fan of Tyreek Hill going against Sauce this week.
I don't know if he's going to be shadowed by Sauce. Tyreek
Sauce
Hill moves
isn't
around.
shadow.
He motions a lot, so I think it could be a good opportunity. Not saying he's going to go off, but I think his projection of 15 is somewhat on par with what I think he's going to do. McBride has a good...
I was saying your boy Stevens has been terrible.
I told you, that was one of the worst contracts. Giving that guy $36 million to be an absolute trash can.
That is another primetime game,
that's
so that could be
rough,
low
dude.
scoring potentially.
It's
Yeah,
true.
There's
True.
2 Monday night games this week.
Oh wow, yeah.
But just moving to the rest of his matchup, Olave against Buffalo. I think it's actually a favorable matchup because there is huge blowout potential, which means they're going to be throwing the ball. Should be another big target share for Olave this week. And if he actually gets in the end zone, he's like pretty safe to put up 18 to 20 points then. If Jennings plays, that's a great matchup against Jacksonville, and then Tucker Kraft against Dallas. He should do pretty well there. So overall, I just like Panchez's matchups a little bit more than Tyler's. I'm a little skeptical with Neighbors this week. 1, he didn't practice today, I'm pretty sure, and 2, it's Jackson Dart's first career start. So just, a little bit skeptical there. I still think he's going to be good, but might not, be as good of a week as we expect out of Neighbors. Stroud should have a bounce back week there. I think Hampton will also do very well. Jaylen Warren, I think, probably has his worst week of the year against Minnesota's defense. They look absolutely locked down right now. So I probably say that's not a great matchup for him either. That kind of summarizes most of it. I mean, the Chiefs playing against the Ravens, Swiss cheese defense, they should all do pretty well.
I just kind of sorry to cut you off, but I'm looking at Warren's
go for it.
stats, and it's almost like he can't even get worse though. Like he isn't even playing good. He's just like the volume is just there. So like it's almost like he can only go up in my opinion. Because I'm looking at it, he's like last week he put up 16 points, but he's doing that on 2.6 yards per carry. Week 1, you go back. I mean, he only got 11 carries, put up 16 points, still got the touchdown, but another 3.4 yards per carry. Week 2, 3.4 yards per carry. I feel like the receiving work is going to be there no matter what. Like, I feel like the rushing, I mean, you can't get worse than pretty much 3 yards a carry. Like, that's pretty bad in terms of the NFL. Tyler, you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, Jaylen Warren in general, he's looking very good for fantasy because what people were not expecting was just how involved in the receiving game he would be, because Aaron Rodgers is just a dump-off merchant. So the amount of dump-offs he gives to Jaylen Warren is huge, and it's just such a safe floor for him. Even in a bad matchup, I agree with you. Vikings' run defense is great. Their whole defense is good. I still think the Steelers are going to be in a competitive game. I think Warren will be involved. It's like a safe floor. I'm not saying there's a huge upside, obviously, but I think he's got a safe floor every week.
I really like the floor that Warren brings. As just like a guy that's like almost guaranteed to pretty much put up like 15 points per game. And it's like he probably won't top you 20 unless he scores a touchdown, but like he'll always really be in that range, which is really quality, especially if you could put that in like your flex spot like Tyler could, or as obviously your RB2 with Swift in your flex. You like the RB flexibility.
It's hard to get that.
Yeah,
Hard to get that out of a running back.
That was honestly one of the biggest pieces for my whole team, because if I didn't get a solidified RB3 in this team, it would have been a little tougher. So getting that pick was huge with Jalen Warren.
I like that pick a lot on draft day. I thought that was huge for you. Obviously, Caleb Johnson being such a non-factor was a
I would never
little.
put him
I
on.
didn't expect him to have a major role, but I didn't expect him to pretty much just be a healthy scratch week in, week out for the whole season.
Yeah. I thought they would be at least splitting a little bit with Caleb getting like some in between the tackles touches, but they really just don't trust him right now.
Especially not after the kickoff.
Yeah, with the kickoff and just Rodgers probably hates rookies. Steelers don't really trust rookies, so it's just like it's not a great recipe for him right now.
Yeah. But so I believe I had or no, we didn't even go into Scott. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to go into this, so I guess I'll go through it quickly. For Tyler, I really do like the Chiefs this week. I mean, the Ravens' defense did look pretty bad. I mean, they have not looked good. They let about 40 points twice. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Or close
Uh,
to it.
Yeah,
That's
30.
beautiful.
Two good offenses,
yeah,
and then the
it's
Browns.
been a lot.
So
I don't know
the
the
Chiefs,
exact numbers.
they put up 20 points to the Browns, which is a lot, honestly. So I feel like Mahomes, Kelsey, and Worthy are going to have really good weeks. Neighbors, I feel like they're going to, especially after last week, they couldn't get him the ball, especially with their rookie starting. They're going to try to feed him the ball. I know Lawson mentioned this with Swift. It's his time now. And then I feel like Hampton is going to be good, like especially without no Najee. And then Warren safe. And then I don't love Tua or Hill. I feel like it's going to be an 8-chain week. 8-chain's going to have 30 points this week. So when we get into whoever with 8-chain, I don't know who that is. That'll probably be who I have winning, depending on the rest of the team.
Riley.
But
Riley.
Okay, never mind then. Never mind then. Yeah, I retract that. But I feel like 18's gonna go. I mean, come on, James Cook absolutely featured against the Jets. Bucky featured against the Jets. So their run defense has been putrid this year. Their pass defense, at least, I feel like one of the receivers, and I just don't like Tua, so that's what it is. I just don't think it's that good. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with Tyler's team 165.7 to 159.3.
Wow, very close. That's a close one.
matchup.
It's gonna be a close
I'll be
matchup.
sweating
But the
that out.
difference is, I feel like Tyreek Hill's gonna have a dud Monday night.
Wait, so you have Tyler
Wow.
too, Scott?
Yeah, I have Tyler too.
Okay, so we both take Tyler, Jeremy, fading us, going with Panchez. Should be fun to see how this
Good,
one
that's
turns
good.
out.
That makes a lot of sense.
Obviously, this now officially guarantees that the guest won't be undefeated because one of our guests
Yeah.
is going to lose this matchup now.
Yeah, I mean, Ducks going 5-0 last week. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we didn't even touch on that, but shout out to the Ducks going 5-0 with their
Oh, yeah.
predictions. That was
Huge shout out to the Ducks. To Jake, man.
or yeah, Jake.
5-0. That's
Shout out the
crazy.
Ducks, but
Jake,
mostly
right.
Jake.
Yeah, that was crazy. 5-0 on the week for his first appearance. That was crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty absurd.
But his team lost with like a terrible shitter. So
And Jatavion got hurt. And Jatavion got hurt.
yeah, he had a shitter, but at least he predicted 5 wins. 5 wins.
He won,
That's
but at what
hilarious.
cost?
What at what cost? All right,
That's
moving
funny.
into our fourth game on the schedule. We're gonna have Levitt, funny enough, versus the Ducks. So,
Oh yeah, getting into it.
yeah, we'll go into our one of our two matchups that we'll all four be predicting on. But Tyler, do you want to take the floor with this one real quick?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a tough one, honestly. I do think that the Ducks have a chance, even though they're not favored once again. He's got to fill in the tight end spot, and I think he has to make some smart decisions in the flex spot because, I mean, there's a lot of mental gymnastics going on in the Ducks front office, I know right now. Considering a Malik Washington start, Woody Marks start, he's giving up on Ridley.
Giving
I
up
think
on
that's
Ridley
bold.
to start Malik
I think
Washington.
you gotta. I think you have to roll with Ridley again, personally.
You have to, bro. You
But I
have to.
understand.
He's
I
due.
understand it's a tough call. And with Travis Hunter too, it's like hard to start a guy who's half playing on defense. So
You
I don't know what
drafted
they're gonna
that
do in
though.
their
You
lineup.
put yourself in that position to draft a guy that was going to play half the snaps on defense.
100%. I don't know what they're gonna go with in the flex spot, but I do think like the top of this team gives him a chance in any week. It really does with the Josh Allen and John Taylor, and then you have Chase Brown, who should at least bounce back a little bit. At least he's getting touches. I'm not saying it's going to be a great matchup for him either, but he's getting so many touches. He's got to do something with them. Travion Henderson, he has a good matchup against Carolina. I think you definitely have to start him this week. So hopefully he gets more involved for the Ducks.
He led the Patriots
Obviously,
running
the
backs in
safer
snap
pick.
share, I believe,
Yeah,
last week
after
after the
Ramondre
fumbles.
fumbled twice, Antonio Gibson fumbled, so Travion took over towards the end. They were losing as well, so it was a better game script for them, which that could lead to a little
I
bit more of
think
the
I
bigger
think we'll start
bruisers, but I
seeing
think
the
Travion's
turn.
taken over.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I agree with you. It's looking like Travion should have honestly a pretty good week this week. So it's like if those guys can carry him and he can at least get safe production, like if you can get 10 points out of these flexes, then you can get at least a safe week out of the receiving room, which Wandale and Cup, I mean, it's questionable obviously, but yeah, they do have PPR upside to at least give you a safe floor. So I think he's got a chance here, especially on the other side. We got into McLaurin a little bit. He's injured. If he misses the week, I mean, I don't really know who's
I
replacing
think
him.
it's
Ramondre
I'm gonna be
Stevenson?
under the impression that it's almost guaranteed that he's not gonna play this week.
I mean, that's pretty brutal then if you have. I mean, Devontae Turpin, obviously, he looks kind of good with CD out. He's already been good, now CD's out, so it's like he honestly isn't a bad play at all, but it's just hard to look at.
Ayo
And then you're
Minor.
going to have Ramondre getting thrown in there as well. Or maybe it's AMA, or you're right. It's just a tough call of who they're. Both of these teams have a lot of lineup decisions to make. I think, honestly, the Ducks seem to have a higher ceiling this week. But I think Levitt's team probably has a safer floor. So I could see the upset, but I think I'm going to go with Levitt's for now because the thing with Josh Allen is with the Saints, it might be such a bad matchup that he just doesn't score because they're dominating so much.
Yeah, that's what
But
I
it's like,
meant. That's what my friend mentioned in my video yesterday. Like Allen, obviously
yeah,
on
I
paper, it
could
looks
see
like it's a
that.
great matchup, but I mean, if it gets too crazy, he's probably not going to score that much.
Yeah, so I think I'm
I
going to
mean,
go with
against
the
the
Levitt
Jets,
safer floor.
yes, he only had 14 points that week, so
Yeah, exactly.
could be like that too.
Yeah, he
Like,
thrives when in a matchup that's like actually a close game because he touches the ball every play and he's obviously like running or passing. But like when they're just handing it off and they're dominating, it's not great for him.
no, for sure.
Scott, speaking of that, you want to
Yeah, I
give us
guess
your
I'll get
prediction?
into I honestly don't like really either teams this week. I just Zach's. I mean, the Ducks flex is just don't love. And Chase Brown did not look good last week. I mean, he had 0.3 yards per carry. I mean, that is going to be better, but it's against another good defense. And until I see the Bengals do well without Burrow, I can't rely on them. Yes, it hurts Chase too. That's why I also don't like that matchup too. And Wandale was a rookie coming in against a tougher defense. I don't feel like two receivers are going to be good, so I feel like he's going to force feed Neighbors, which hurts Wandale. And a Cup hasn't been great either. And I mean, JT and Josh Allen are going to have to carry him this week if he wants to win. Like, that's what's going to have to come down to. Also, like Trevor, he does not look good at all. I
Yeah,
mean, he's had some bad interceptions this year so far. He's like 5 total in the year, 4 total in the year right now. He just has not looked good. And then I guess for Zach's side, I mean, I do like that Caleb Ashby for fantasy has been really good for fantasy.
Yeah,
So
Caleb's been
I
a
need
beast.
another good matchup. So I would do like that. And Baker, like I feel like that could actually be a high scoring game between Tampa and Philly. So I do like that. And then I feel like Broxton bounced back. Quinshon and Brees, like Quinshon's looked good, and if they're gonna score, he's gonna be the guy to score. Like they're gonna have rushing touchdowns to score. That's their only way, I feel like. And then for Brees, he's been meh, but I feel like he's gonna have a touchdown this week. Just feel it. So yeah, I think I'm gonna lead to Zach just because I just don't really like Zach's matchup this week. Besides like John Taylor and Josh Allen, and you can't really rely on two players. They're gonna have to probably score 30 or 40 each. Crazy enough for me to 30 for like John Taylor, maybe like 30 for Josh Allen, combined for like 60 for me to think he has a chance. But I just don't like Cup right now. Wandale, but he doesn't have a tight end this week. Trevor looked awful, so sorry for dishing. But yeah, I'll go to Zach. It's gonna be a lower prediction, like 143 to 139. I just don't like either of these teams this week. personally.
Yeah. That's a fair
Nothing against
prediction,
them,
I think.
I just don't like their teams this week.
What are you thinking, Jeremy?
A lot of valid points by Scott there. I do agree with a lot of what you said. And I said it when I did my rankings. Ducks team, Allen and Taylor, it does give you weekly upside because those two could put up 30 plus each week. But I'm still going to go Levitz here. And I don't love all of his matchups. Chase and Flowers both don't have the greatest matchups. But I just think that Fant, Malik Washington, and Woody Marks, or even if he puts in Ridley, like that could be three players combining for like less than 20 points. And that's obviously going to kill your lineup. So I do think Travion gets a boost this week. I think that 10-point projection is wrong. I think it should be more closer to like 15. But even still, I think Levitz's team just offers more of a floor, and I can't get behind a team that could be starting three potential shitters. And even if you put in Ridley and Hunter, I mean, until I see it out of them, I can't say I'm confident. So, I agree. I think it's going to be a lower scoring matchup with you, Scott, but I'm going to go with Levitz here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I kind of agree with you guys on almost everything you've been saying so far. When I look at it, I mean, I know you guys talked a lot about the Malik, Marks, Fant kind of trio that Ducks are starting. To me, I mean, Malik and Turpin are a wash. They're the same type of player. Wide receiver threes, might get a catch or two, get some return work. So that's a wash for me right there. And Marks versus Ramondre, I guess, is like another wash for me, in my opinion. Two backup running backs. I mean, if Marks was getting the touches, it's a wash. If anything, I'll probably lean Levitz there a little bit. I mean, it's outside of Allen and Taylor, it's kind of just the rest of the lineup where I just lean in favor of Levitz. I mean, I like Judkins over Henderson this week. Like, even if Henderson is going to get the increased carry total, I just like the volume that Judkins is going to get no matter what. That until Henderson can show me he's going to get a consistent volume, I'm going to favor Judkins over Henderson in my lineups. I like, obviously, Kupp hasn't proven much. I like Jamar over Kupp. I like the prospect of Flowers in a close game versus the Chiefs over Wandale in Kupp in Dart's first game. Obviously, Bowers over a potential 0 at tight end is like a 20-point swing in my opinion right there.
That's a huge
that's
difference,
really,
honestly.
and that's where it kills it for me, because like even the quarterbacks where you could maybe say Duck wins over his team a little bit, and you're starting Trevor Lawrence, and it's like, all right, Josh Allen though, but Caleb Williams is currently the QB3, and Baker Mayfield is playing insane football. So I'm also giving Levitz my quarterback. So yeah, I'm gonna lean Levitz this week. Not even like really matchup wise, more so just like there's basically two washes in the lineup, and I'm looking at this as like an 8v8, and I'm taking Levitz's 8 over Duck's 8 this week.
Yeah. That makes a
Valid.
ton of sense. Yeah, it makes a ton of sense.
Valid.
So
We all
That's a
have
4-0.
Levitz.
In reality, even though
Yeah.
I think it could be a closer matchup, we all took Levitz there.
yeah, I know. I was gonna say we all have Levitz winning this week. Very funny that we all have Levitz moving to 3-1 after probably collectively all thought he was a bottom 2 team going into the season.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Good
He
for
really
him.
is.
No,
He's been on the
definitely
up.
good for him.
Yeah.
I'm happy for him.
All of them, I mean, he's proven everybody wrong. That I did not think that he was gonna come into the league. Obviously, there was a little bit of backlash with the NBA trolls and shit, but like he's been
Yeah.
turning it up. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
obviously I was a big fan of getting Levitz into the league, and even the first draft, I like after it, I was like, damn, like I'm pretty skeptical of this guy's team now. Like, what did we do? But he is proved me wrong almost instantly. I really, really, really like what he's building, especially this season.
Yeah,
And I'm excited to see what he's going to do in the
I mean,
future. I mean, this is a good start, year 1
100%.
in the league already.
I mean, the big thing for me right now with Judkins, I didn't think he was going to play this year or this soon.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
the same thing.
That-
This Judkins
that
pick could be
changing
the
really
best pick of
helped
the
him.
draft.
Yeah.
Could be the best pick
He,
of the whole
he, took
draft.
a, he took a huge
Saves
swing
him
in
from
his
Robinson, because you have to
really-
remember Robinson was picked before he was traded.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah,
got
Basically
screwed with
swaps
that.
in and out. Yeah,
Yeah.
that basically is a swap right there.
Imagine he did have Robinson. This team would look gross if Robinson was workhorsing
Yeah,
in
if he had Bureau
Washington.
starting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But we're gonna move into our third to last game now after the 4-0 Levitt sweep in our predictions. We're going to go with probably a bit of an easier game to predict here for us three. And we're going to go with Jeremy versus Riley. And poor Riley. That's all I want to say. I mean, obviously, I mean, this just kind of feels like the position that I'm in with Prince. And it's like, we're just both 0-3. And we're stuck against one of the top 2 teams in the league week 4, which is just really unlucky. Like it sucks that like all the 0-3 and the Ducks, like we all play each other at like the end of the season. By that point, like it's gonna be cooked. We're gonna just feed you guys wins. But obviously Riley needs to pull out a win this week. I agree with what Scott was saying. I could see A-Chain having an absolutely massive game this week. Alongside, I could see Trey Benson having a big game this week. I didn't want to talk about it too much during our game, and I actually did gloss over it a little bit when I was talking about the Tyler Panchez matchup. And I really don't think it changes much there. I do think he has a good game, but I overall think that the Cardinals' offense is going to have a really good game. It's a 2-1 division matchup to take the lead of the NFC West, probably the toughest division in football this year. It's looking like, beside the AFC West, and they're playing in Arizona. I was talking with Prince yesterday. Prince had told me multiple times that pretty much all of the most tragic things to happen in Seattle have happened in Glendale. I mean, the Russ interception was in Glendale. Earl Thomas flipping off Pete Carroll was in Glendale. Cam Chancellor got hurt in Glendale. Like, almost all of the most tragic things for the Seahawks happened in Glendale. So, kind of just made me feel a little better, because that was after I already telling him I'm really fucking with the Cardinals this week. So, I actually really like the idea of Trey Benson, and I think that Riley's top 3 could easily outscore Jeremy's top 3 by honestly a decent bit, because Darnold, I don't think will have a crazy good game. I don't think ETN will have that good of a game, and I don't think Jordan Mason, honestly, versus the Steelers defense is gonna blow up and have 2 touchdowns, 100-something yards. Like, he'll be I think a touchdown dependent guy this Sunday. I think he'll get some touches, but I mean, I doubt he breaks one for that far. Maybe like a 10-yard run here and there, but I don't think he's gonna be anything crazy. I think Trey Benson, honestly, I'm liking Trey Benson over Jordan Mason this week. But even with me liking what Riley's got in the top 3, it doesn't help that after that it's just tragedy. I mean, at the wide receivers now, and there's not a single position where I would take Riley over Jeremy, besides Jawan Johnson at tight end. I'll give him that. Jawan Johnson is the better tight end there. But Jawan Johnson over Zach Ertz is not a big enough swing to make up for 6 different positions in your lineup that are probably each going to swing 3 to 4 points. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to harp on it too much, because again, Riley just has a lot of injuries right now, which are killing it. But I'm gonna pick Jeremy, so I'll just leave it at that. But I tried to give Riley his props where he's at, because his team has been so screwed over, and like I really do, like I think his top 3 looks really good, but it's a 10-man lineup, which is like, got to fill out those 7 other spots. But the top 3 right now looks great. And Bo Nix. I'll give him Bo Nix. I'll give him the QB2.
I'm not even going to really get into this matchup too much. Like, I completely agree here. There's just too much firepower on Jeremy's side in comparison to these scraps that Riley has to throw in right now. I'm going to take Jeremy. I'm not gonna really harp on Riley too much for this week, but I did call him out last week, and I had to show him that L from last week, so I'm happy he took that nice L. And
you took out
probably will
CD
get another
for
one,
him,
but
man.
yeah, CD down 2. It's just
Did you have to do that?
CD's down 2. You know, it was honestly because he put so many hits on my team that they just went for his own. So
You
that's what
saw.
happened. He wasn't even thinking,
you
his
knew
own
that the
guys
hit on
turned
Hampton
him.
was coming, bro. You took out Ceedy and then told Hampton get out the way and let Najee go down.
Yeah, we put Najee in for that play.
You
He took
outsmarted
it. He took
Riley.
that. Yeah. I'm not gonna harp on Riley too much here. He's gotta figure something out though.
He's got to
Oh,
trade
damn,
or shoot
that was-
Rice.
Or
He's gotta
CD,
trade
one
somebody.
of those two. Or Kittle.
One of them.
Like one guy to
One
get
of
some
them
depth.
got-
man.
He's got valuable
At this point,
guys. He
at
just
this
has to
point,
fill
I
out
feel
a
like
lineup.
you rock with Kittle, because he'll be back in I think
No.
what 2 weeks. Is
Yeah,
that
but is he even?
I
is it
mean,
even worth it?
At least 2 more weeks. Depends if he comes out back after the minimum 4.
Yeah,
It's not
so-
guaranteed, I don't think.
I mean, 2 more games with Kittle. I mean, you've got Shakir. I mean, Keenan Allen is playing at a good level right now. I do think that
You gotta
Lamb and
get
Rice
Mims out of the
could both
lineup.
get moved, but I really don't hate the idea of trading Lamb and Rice, filling out like you can put Keenan Allen in your flex. You could even like kind of rock with Shakir if you want, but I could see Riley moving on from Lamb and Rice, try to fill out those other spots, and then eventually putting Kittle back in his lineup when he's healthy, rocking Jawan and Kittle, and then making another trade to then turn some of that depth he acquired back into a kind of similar to what I did.
Yes.
Obviously, Jatavion wasn't a great player, but kind of how I downgraded into Golden Jonnu and then turned that back into a DK, or like how I downgraded from Terry. Like I could see Riley trying to work into like a similar situation there, and trying to downgrade on a Lamb and a Rice at this given point to try to help him win some games. I don't
he can
think
sell
that.
CD, I think he can sell Rice. I think he can sell Kittle.
Yeah,
Even with
I
Kittle,
think
you
that
have
if he
Jawan,
if he
he's not gonna
like
be third at
obviously
tight end.
it's Wednesday right now. The Cardinals Seahawks play on Thursday. There's probably nobody from those teams that would really be involved in a major trade. Obviously, JSN and Darnold are on Jeremy's team, and Benson is on Riley's. So he's pretty much got till Sunday that if he could work up a Lamb or a Rice trade, I could see an upset in this matchup. But just the
he won't
way
do it,
his
though.
lineup is built right now, and I'm not going to predict off of a what if, you know? Like, I'm going to
No, for
100%
sure.
stick to Jeremy. But if Riley pulls off a good trade for Lamb and Rice and can get Diggs, Tootin, and Mims out of his lineup and put in some quality guys there, I could 100% see an upset happening this week. But, again, that's a massive
He needs to make
thing.
moves for
Yeah.
that to happen.
He has to make some moves. Obviously, I've made some moves and tried to made some minimal moves. Obviously, Tillman for Wentz being active on the waiver wire. I feel like it's time that Riley has to kind of step in a little bit, and I don't know if he's mentally kind of out of it just because
Yeah,
of how.
he's not really willing.
Yeah, I don't know if he's mentally kind of out of it because just how like bad things have gotten. But I mean, at the end of the day,
It's week 3.
at the
like,
end
you
of the
can-
day,
you're still
it's
alive.
week 3. You're only 2 games out of. I think you're 2 games out of the 2nd seed right now, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, you turn your team
Can't give
around,
up
you
after
win a
week
couple
3.
games. I was talking about this to Anthony and Prince because, funnily enough, Tyler. Obviously, I'll talk about it in the video tomorrow, but while you're here, I'll mention it now. Your dynasty team got a massive boost having Trey Benson on the squad now.
Huge.
And Anthony
huge.
Anthony calls me yesterday and he's like, "Yo, like Tyler's about to win dynasty." And I was like, Ant, I don't hate the take at all. Like I think Tyler's team could 100% win in dynasty, but I think that it's just one of those things where it's like, and obviously anybody can win, and I just think it's one of those things where it's like, as long as you can make the playoffs as an 8 seed, especially in like
You got a chance.
redraft more so than dynasty because of how like top end the lineups are in dynasty. But I was telling Ant, I was like, yo, like, say you guys sneak into the playoffs as like an 8 seed, right? Like, and say Tyler's the 1 seed, like, I would not be surprised if Tyler's team just had a bad week and you managed to win, even if Tyler's team on paper probably does look the best in the leagues, on par with Pinto's. Like, but that's another, like, and the same thing for Pinto. Like, his team looks so good on paper right now to the point that like he's a number 1 in the power ranking, but I'm not going to confidently say he's going to win the league because I think that
No,
at that
it's
point,
too early. It's
yeah,
too early.
yeah, and it's also
It's
like
the third week of the season.
I don't
Look
even
how
know
many injuries there's
matchups.
been
Yeah, I don't
already.
even know matchups,
There's already
injuries,
been all
or
these
anything.
injuries. There's all these bye weeks. Like things are gonna keep changing. So it's still so early on. Anything can happen. And you're right. Just getting into the playoffs, you have
Yeah,
a chance.
and that's
I
kind of
think
what I'm alluding to.
Makoff last year was in the finals. I think is like the 8th seed or
Yeah,
something
I
like that. He
believe
was
so. Makov wasn't a high seed in our league at all.
yeah.
But kind of alluding
So
to what I was getting to at with Riley's team. But he just needs
If
to
you
like
get in, anything can happen.
yeah, if he can just get into the playoffs as that 8 seed, and that's literally my mindset right now. I'm 2 games out of that last spot. If I can just stay above Riley, Ant, and the Ducks, if I can just be better than one other team in this league, I'm confident that my lineup right now, on a good week, can beat any team in the league. On a good week, I can
yeah.
beat any team in the league. It's not like I'm starting like no offense to Riley, but I wouldn't be confident going into Riley's team and even saying on a good week his team can be the best in the league because on a good week, what are you really expecting out of Stephon Diggs now? Like, is a good week to him finally breaking double-digit points? Like, I look at
Yeah.
my guys, and I don't see anybody in my lineup that, like, a good week to them is under 18 to 20 points. And the only guy I would probably say that is Kyle Pitts. But, and I'm not even trying to sit here and just say, like, my team's better than Riley's right now. Like, because I'm not saying that at all. We're both 0-3. Both of our teams are dog shit. I just think that, I'm more just saying that, like, I want to kind of, like, not pressure Riley into a move, but, like, I want to see him make a move. Because at the rate that he's going, it's not going to get him anywhere with what he's doing. And, I mean, better for me if he's going to stick with this team because I don't think this team is going to be good. But I think he's a good move away. And it's, I mean, look at the trades I did. Like, they're all, like, fair on paper. And then 1 week later, it looks like I've won every single trade by a landslide just because every guy I've traded has gotten hurt pretty much. It's like
It's just yeah.
like
Things are luck.
like
Luck is involved.
imagine how
It's
different
luck,
Riley's team would look
obviously.
if he decided he was going to trade CeeDee Lamb last week when he was 0-2 and had no depth, and he decided he was going to downgrade on CeeDee Lamb, and then CeeDee Lamb gets hurt, and then he looks like an absolute genius. He's just been like 1 week
Yeah, he
behind
still
on
can
things,
do it.
but
He
like
still
he
can do
just
it.
has to make a move. I think like he's really right there, dude. Like especially with A-Chain, Benson, Bo Nix, and Prescott isn't the worst QB duo, and you've got CeeDee Lamb, who's a top 5 player in the league, who can easily get you a lot of value. It's not like he's out for the season; he's out 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But
Yeah.
And he's got Rice. He's
Yeah.
got Rice sitting there too.
Yeah.
He's got two ticking bombs on his bench that like, you go to a 3-0 team or a 2-1 team, they could cough up some depth for it. I definitely could see it, but it doesn't seem like
100%.
he is willing to do that.
I
At least
think that
from what
yeah,
I've been able to tell.
that's the thing. I
Yeah,
just don't
he
think he's willing
considers
right
he
now.
considers it like selling his soul if he trades away one of those guys, which is just like that's what a trade is. Like it's a win-win. Obviously, somebody's gonna get a higher upside player that you have to move on from, but you need that sort of depth that's in your lineup that's big to get. You have some upside guys already in the lineup that you can give one of them away. So I think you could definitely afford to move on from at least one guy.
Yeah, I think so too, definitely. And even if it's not a
But
Lamb
yeah,
or a
that's-
Rice, he should move on from like a Kittle at this point, having Jawan Johnson. Just add somebody you can play this week. Because, like,
Yeah.
right now he's throwing the week away, dude. Like, the way I'm looking at it, he's
Yeah.
throwing this week away. So, I hope he doesn't do
I'm
that.
okay with it.
Obviously.
100%. What's your score prediction for this one?
Yeah.
Then we'll move on quick.
Yeah.
I didn't really. I kind of agree with both of you guys, especially Lawson. I could see both running backs outscoring Faders, both running back, and Dak outscoring Herbert. Would really the top quarterback is just different because he moved the flex. I mean, the super flex to the flex, which he should do since Darnold's playing Thursday night. But I'm actually going to go a little. It's going to be a blowout. 169.9 to 137.1. I don't
Alright.
know.
Yeah.
That's what you got.
You really calibrated
Yeah.
the fuck out of that one.
Yeah.
All right, let's
Yeah,
move
so
into our.
let's move into
Yeah.
Baka versus Soria.
Mm-hmm.
Baka
That is our
versus
next
Soria
game.
matchup. Let's move into it.
This is
Jeremy, if you want
this
to
is
kick us off, I know we've been talking on your matchup for a while, even though it was really just talking on Riley's team.
Yeah, it was more
obviously,
just
but you
kind of
can get
like
into this
talking
one.
on Riley's team there, even if we all kind of agreed that Jeremy was winning like 2 minutes into that.
Yeah.
What do you guys want to take
Yeah.
the lead here? What are you guys thinking about Packoff versus Soria?
I could start this one. You want to go, Scott? You can go.
No, you can go. You can
Nah,
go.
Jeremy, I don't think you
just
started one yet.
talk away.
Let's let you start it.
All right. So just looking at this matchup, I think Makoff is. I'm gonna give him the edge here. Drake May against Carolina. I know Michael Penix didn't look
Makoff.
too good last week. Excuse me, Makoff.
I did it before too.
I
I
know
know just stop me.
Disrespecting Pinto, man.
Yeah. Sorry, Pinto. Drake May, I think will have a pretty good week. I think Michael Penix is. I think he's definitely a tier or two below Drake May. So I think he could be good there. While Cleveland's run defense is really good.
It looks like he's starting Gino this week. Sorry to cut you off, but he's Gino in his lineup right now.
Yeah, I mean Gino against Chicago. It's been interesting start to the year so far, but overall I think it's at least on par with Carson Wentz, if not a little bit better. Even though Pittsburgh's defense looks awful right now. But Gibbs, I think, will always have a safe floor just because of the receiving upside, even though he might not run the ball the greatest because Cleveland's run defense does look very good. Same thing with Kamara. Like, those guys are they're high floor, high ceiling players. They can always get in the end zone, and they're always going to get the receptions. Puka and Ladd. I think this could be a big bounce back week for Ladd. Hasn't been ideal start to the year for him, but he's super talented. He runs out of their slot a lot, and I just think they've been spreading the ball around a lot, which not saying that's not going to continue, but I think, it could be a nice bounce back week for Ladd against the shitty Giants. Puka's going to do his thing, probably the wide receiver one for the rest of the season, honestly. He's as elite as it gets. Rome against Vegas should be a pretty good week for him as well. And I think Matthew Golden is kind of the X factor here for Makoff. I think this could be the golden breakout week against Dallas. He's basically gotten better, from week 1 to week 3. Saw a huge increase in target share, routes run, etc. He's a rookie wide receiver. Sometimes need a few weeks, but this is not a loaded room at all. He's, in my opinion, by far the most talented, at least. And he's versing Dallas's defense, which is, not the greatest to begin with. So I think this could be his breakout week. And I just like Makoff's team. Like I said, I think his core is probably the best in the league. I still think his quarterback still offers some upside. But yeah, I mean Soria's team, he needs to win this one because otherwise he's going to be 0-4 as well. But I just, to be honest, just straight up like Makoff's team better. I don't even think Soria's going to have a bad week. I think this could be a relatively high scoring matchup, honestly. Jacobs against Dallas should feast. Ricky Pearsall against Jacksonville, especially if Jawan's out, that could be an incredible matchup. So he's got some guys for sure, but I got to go with Makoff here.
It's good. It's a good analysis on this team.
Definitely.
Because Packoff's team, in reality, it's just looking a little stronger right now. Obviously, Soria's fighting for that bottom of the barrel right now as well. And this does look like one of his stronger lineups coming out. It's hard to pick against Packoff here, though, with how safe the ceiling of their team is. With Puka being so safe, Gibbs being pretty safe. Like, it's hard to go against that. I would have to go with Packoff as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat as you guys with this one. I actually do, out of all the matchups, see this one probably being the highest potential for an upset, actually, because I think that if Wentz and Addison can have a good game versus Pittsburgh, I think Ant could pretty easily not easily, but I think Ant could take this one. I like Ant's team. He's just having no Burrow is just so brutal, but like outside of that, I do like what Ant has going on. But I mean, like you guys have just said, I do think though that the top end of what Makoff is offering is just too good right now, and when you don't have that QB handicap, like having a Joe Burrow and a Jared Goff to a May Smith right now, that would have been the one saving grace that probably would have catapulted me, honestly, to saying you could win this matchup. But I just don't. I think especially with DK being able to kind of just like float around 8, 9 points, maybe breaking 10 here and there. I think he's done that once or twice already this season. And I obviously traded Matthew Golden, but I agree with Jeremy. I think this is the week that, if anything, I think Golden could definitely break out. And I only traded him because I needed more of a guarantee in my lineup, and obviously I already had Rodgers. So I thought it'd be nice to get DK, because also in any potential trade, I've got the stack to move with that. But I do like having Golden a lot, and I think he's going to be an absolute beast. Obviously, you're worried about Packers receivers. They've never really been too consistent for the last couple of years, ever since Devontae left. But I think that if there's a guy that's going to break out and take a role, it's going to be Matthew Golden. I mean, his snap share is getting up there. The targets are getting up there. So I think he's due. And against Dallas, I think that's a really good matchup for him. So I am going to take Pack off in this matchup. Sadly, moving Ant down to 0-4 with me and Riley again.
Great, all three of you guys. I'm going Pack off too. I wanted to be different and not be like with you guys and take Ant's team, but I just can't do
I was
it right
really
now.
close
I
to
did
doing
have
that. I was really close. I couldn't though.
This might be my second highest upset. Really first, because I don't really consider Tyler Panchez's team upset potential. That's like two solid teams. So if you want to go with like the 2-1 versus 0-3 team, this would probably be my biggest chance of a lower projected team beating a higher scoring team. But right now, Mac just feels like a safer scorer with like Gibbs, Puka. Like Rome's been really good. Ferg, I think, is gonna have another good week. So I just gotta take Bro's Pack off team, and I'll go closer. 163.2 to 159.1. All these predictions are just off the top of my head
Very
right
close.
now. So
That's a very
it's gonna be
close.
close.
That is a close
Mac
one.
just gonna pull it out.
Wow.
Just
Alright.
gonna pull it out.
So again, a 4-0 sweep in favor of Pack off for this matchup.
Crazy.
So let's move into our final game that we have on the slate for you guys today. And obviously, that is going to be
Yeah.
Scott
Probably.
versus Alec.
Probably the game of the week.
Yeah,
Definitely
probably. I think I would 100%. I think Tyler Panchez's game of the week.
Me versus Panches is a good one too. Those are some really good matchups. It's
We'll
tough to
give it
pick
like a
one.
co-game of the week. This will be our co-game of the week. Scott versus
Definitely.
Alec. And I'll just take the lead off the rip here. Again, Scott had a very, very good week last week, putting up an insane amount of touchdowns. I think that number was like, 13 or something total for his team. And when I see that, I kind of tend to not really like a team like that the next week. I also think he's going against a tougher matchup with Alec. Obviously, you want to see Fields healthy. If Fields isn't healthy, Tyrod Taylor is a bit of a step down, in my opinion, without really having the crazy rushing upside there. I like Jacoby Myers. I like Garrett Wilson. I like Nico Collins. I think you've got a very, very deep and elite wide receiver room that beats Alex as of right now. But I also do think, though, that it's only a matter of time before Drake London and or Brian Thomas Jr. kind of have their I'm here game. And even Ted McMillan in the same way is kind of... obviously, Gonzo's playing this week, and if he does play, I'm not a fan of McMillan whatsoever. James Cook against New Orleans is probably my RB1 this week in fantasy overall. I think James Cook probably has the highest points in the league, maintaining his RB1 role. So I do think that Scott's reign at 3-0 is going to finally come to an end this week. Sadly, I do not want to pick Alex's team at all right now, but I do think, though, that Alec this week is going to pull it out. I think the biggest risk when I kind of do look at Alex's lineup right now is obviously Jackson Dart. It's his first game as a starting quarterback, but they've already come out and said that
He doesn't have Daniels in his lineup right now. So
He probably won't start him, but he could.
Oh yeah,
I'm not
I
sure.
completely blanked on that too. That he is Jaden Daniels. That if Jaden Daniels plays, I mean he's a I think Alec wins even more efficiently. But
Yeah, both Daniels and then Fields, they're two questionable quarterbacks, but those are huge pieces for both of
yeah,
these
this will
teams.
be a big. I mean, because if Fields plays and Daniels doesn't play, I think this is
And
a
it's looking
lot
close.
closer than I
Yeah.
think. And I already think it's going to be very close. It might almost swing me in favor of Scott if Fields is playing and Daniels isn't playing because of how big the QB swing will be in favor of Scott.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
You're
right,
right. That
this
could be a
is
huge QB
it's
swing.
going to be my prediction. It's going to be a bit of a complicated one. If the lineups are if the quarterbacks stay the same way they are right now, I'm going to take Alec. If Fields plays and Daniels doesn't play, I'm going to take Scott. If Daniels plays no matter what, I'm going to take Alec.
Yeah, so you're going with Alec wins unless Fields plays and Daniels doesn't.
Yeah. That's going to be my prediction.
All right. All right, I like it. I think I'm just gonna go simply put on this one. I'll be a little different from you on this one as well, because I want to pick one where we're at least a little bit switching up. And I've picked against Scott every time when I shouldn't be picking against Scott. He had an insane week, and I agree with you that like if he's not gonna repeat that, it's impossible to repeat what he just did with 13 touchdowns. I do think in the end, it's tough because I really like both of these lineups this week. I think it'll be a very close game. But to switch it up from you, I think I'm going to go with Scott just because I'm going to roll with his team, which has been good. I do agree with you that Alex's team is bound for a bounce back. But I think I'm going to go with Scott's for now. I do really like Fields if he's going against the Dolphins, especially. That would be huge.
Uh-huh.
It starts off with Walker on Thursday night. Hopefully he ends up doing well, but Charbonnet is going to return, so we'll see.
Mhm.
But for now, I think I'm going to roll with Scott, even though I do really like the look of Alex's team as well for this week.
Even if Daniels
Both of these
plays?
teams, I actually had Alec in my power rankings pass up Scott this week too.
You
So
think
now,
you think Scott wins if Daniels plays still?
I mean, I think if both of them, if Daniels plays, then you just take out Dart. But if Daniels and Fields are in, I think Scott can win it. But if Fields is out and then Daniels is in, then I think Alec obviously could have like a huge advantage. But I do think he can win it.
I just
Honestly,
really
I think
I really like the
Scott's lineup
prospect
has
of Daniels
pieces
versus
as well.
Atlanta.
It's a great matchup for him.
Mm-hmm.
He literally just said that he basically wants to play, but it's the doctor's decision. So it seems like he's fighting to get in the lineup. I think this is going to be a high-scoring matchup. Like I think both of them will probably pass.
I think
up
this will
the
be our highest scored
165
matchup of the week
mark.
potentially.
Yeah, I think it's going to be high-scoring. But I'll be different and I'll take Scott. I'm not too confident in it, but I'm just kind of switching it up a little
Yeah, a
bit.
couple of these I'm really not that confident in. It's pretty close this week.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 call, I think, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Two very good teams. Hopefully David Montgomery
Yeah,
just like doesn't play football ever again.
this is a really tough matchup for sure. Like going through position by position, and I'm just like I'm getting a wash on a lot of these guys. I just think their projections or what they're gonna end up doing is gonna be very comparable to each other. Um, Obviously, if Fields is out, I'll agree. If Fields is out and Daniels is in, I'll probably lean Alec. But if not, if not, I'm probably gonna go with Scott then. Um, like I said, very even across the board. Just a few matchups that I like a little bit more. I probably like Nico over Brian Thomas this week. I think Tennessee. I said it the last 2 weeks, but Nico is gonna bounce back, and he did last week. But I think he has another good week this week. And then Jacoby Myers versus Javonte Williams. I think Jacoby, this is a strong matchup against the Bears secondary that has been very banged up recently. So even if some of those guys come back, it's their first game off of the or not the IR, but off the injury, off of an injury. So I think Jacoby is a pretty solid matchup there. And Javonte against, you know, that elite Green Bay defense, I just don't love the matchup. in my opinion. Um, Actually, I'm going to change my statement. Even if Jaden Daniels plays, I'm still going to go with Scott because the QBs are still close to me because you can go Hurts and Daniels, you can call that a wash. And then it's Bryce Young slash Dart, whoever Alec ends up going with, to Tyrod Taylor or Fields. And I think Taylor can still put up just as many points as Bryce Young or Jackson Dart. So, especially against Miami's shitter. So, um, I'm gonna go with Scott in this matchup, but very close. It's by a slight margin. I think Montgomery and Pollard kind of cancel each other out to both have shit weeks this week. To be honest, they're both going up against rough run defenses, and I don't think either of them are gonna look too shiny this week. But there also is a big gap, in my opinion, between Ken Walker and James Cook. I think, like you said, James Cook probably, I don't want to say RB1 for me off the top of my head, but probably a top 5 running back this week. And Ken Walker, if Shard plays, that's going to hurt him a little bit. So there is that advantage there, but I think this could be within 5 points. But I'm going to lean Scott slightly.
I think the only other running back
Yeah.
I'd maybe rather have this week over James Cook against the Saints would be like McCaffrey against Jacksonville. Beside that, I really can't
Yeah.
think of another dominant
Yeah, I
RB
A-Chain's
probably
having
matchup.
30 this week. E-Chain.
Yeah,
The RB1
A-Chain,
this week.
A-Chain too. I like A-Chain a lot.
That's call. That's Scott's call.
You
18
planting
being
that
the
flag,
RB1
Scott?
this week.
Yeah, he's gonna have 30 plus this week.
I like that call.
Not a
Joey
bad
Dud-
take.
I'm not. I'm not
Joey
gonna
Dud
lie.
was
Oh, no, you're good, Scott. Hold on. Get into
Joey
yours
Dud
first.
was 7 after I say this, but
Oh.
we'll see.
No,
If
he'll have a
that's
good
gonna
game,
happen.
obviously. He's gonna have a
But-
good game against the Jets on Monday night.
I'll
Yeah,
never be
I
good.
think so.
Honestly, you guys were talking about this earlier, but my pick of what I think the highest likelihood upset, honestly, I think is Lawson to upset Prince. I could really see this upset, and I'm like still tempted to switch it now. I'm just gonna put it out there though that my
I like
highest
it.
likelihood
I
upset
like
would
it.
be Lawson to upset Prince for this week.
I mean, I
I
said
don't hate
between
it.
Tyler and
I don't hate
Tyler
it.
and
I
Sammy
love that.
but
I
don't
said
hate
in my
that either.
rankings, I actually do like Lawson's team a lot, and if he was just 1-2 instead of 0-3, I think the outlook is completely different. Like just looking at the starting lineup on paper,
Losing to Alec was
it
devastating,
shouldn't be 0-3.
dude. I should
Shouldn't
be.
be
I should be 2-1 right now. Like I should have beaten Scott on Monday Night Football. The fact that
I mean, to
Jen-
be fair, none of us deserved to win that week.
No,
We
it,
both
it
had
was
shitters.
terrible. We had the easily lowest scores. But going into Monday Night Football, needing, I think it was Genty and Thornton to just like outscore Jacoby Myers or whatever it was, and they couldn't do that, and I was just like, that's just so tragic. Like the running back can't outscore the receiver, and I also have the receiver 3. And then obviously you
Yeah.
guys saw Lamar and David Montgomery. I mean, that's just unreal, dude.
That is unreal. That was crazy. Montgomery had that huge
Not even
run
like
that just
Lamar had a
killed it.
bad game. He had another 30 bomb, dude.
Yeah.
Also
was
with
tough.
Scatterbo this week, first start for a rookie quarterback, this definitely could be a dump off game
Yo,
against a
I
solid defensive
I
team.
led the Scatterbo dump off. I think he's gonna get
Definitely could be
That's
a
what I'm
dump-off
saying. And dude, I also think it's huge. Lamar against the Chiefs, like he's probably gonna go off. Lamar's probably gonna go off for fantasy.
Lamar wants to win,
He's got to
bro.
take over the game. He has to take over the game. They're 1-2.
He has to run the
Obviously, the
ball
Chiefs
more. He
need to
looks like a
win.
little like scared to run a little bit this year. I don't know if you guys have been watching. Obviously, Jeremy, I'm sure you watched the game, but like he looks like very hesitant when he gets to the line of scrimmage to just like take off and get the extra yards, and it like eventually just leads to like a D line like catching up to him and only gets like 3 yards instead of like a first down.
Yeah.
There's this Ravens
Very-
fan account, and the guy said it perfectly. At least this is just like talking about the Lions game, but he said that out of like in Lamar's entire career, he's never actually seen a team scheme him up that well to where they completely locked him down passing and running. Like he's never like every time he tried to run, there was a guy right there. He's never looked so like schemed up to that well to where he just couldn't
Yeah.
do anything, and obviously like
actually
the score
took sacks.
resulted.
Yeah.
He never takes sacks, but he actually took a couple sacks in this one. Or a
7,
lot of
most of his
sacks.
career.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
that was an
Most of his
insane
career.
amount of sacks.
Yeah. That was crazy to see.
And the best part about that is you're saying that was potentially the most schemed up game of his career. Still put up 31.3 fantasy points.
It's ridiculous. He's a
He's still
fantasy
Lamar.
cheat code.
He's gonna get
He's
his
a fantasy
no matter
So
cheat code.
what.
insane,
But
dude. Like he's so good.
He's
I'm
just a
really
cheat code in
surprised. Like
fantasy.
I really thought that going into this season, at this point in the season, I really thought I'd have at least like one win, kind of similar to the Ducks, where like Lamar just like powers me through. I really didn't think that my like core would perform so bad that like Lamar's 30 bombs are literally meaning nothing to me right now.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, it's been great that he's actually in like competitive game scripts for a lot of these games. That's why he's been able to be so good too.
I kind of like the fact that the Ravens are losing a little bit, sparking a fire on Lamar. It's gonna be even better.
Yeah, it's big.
I can't,
I'm just
say I'm
happy.
enjoying
just
it.
happy.
It's not good.
Yeah, I can't. I mean,
I'm loving the Ravens lose. I'm loving
I mean,
Nah,
nobody
not
has it
loving
worse
it
than the
over here.
Broncos right now. I mean, back-to-back weeks, game losing field goals in games that we 100% should have won. I mean,
At least you have hope.
devastating.
At least you have hope.
Oh man.
At
Oh,
least
that
you-
was so genuine, bro.
I know that was like so heartfelt. Like, at
That
least you
hurt.
have hope,
That
man.
did
Like,
hurt.
Scott's just hearing us all
Watching
like complain about our teams being 1-2 when we want to be like 3-0, and Scott's like, dude, I take a win.
Yeah. Yeah.
My season's
not
over
gonna
in
happen.
September. They're done.
Not gonna
Shit's
happen.
over in August, bro. I don't know what you're talking about.
Scott's favorite team is his fantasy team, bro. He doesn't even bother watching the NFL. He just roots for his fantasy guys at this point.
My most hated team
Might
is
as
the
well.
Jets. My most hated team in the league.
Oh my
I
god.
despise
I feel
them.
bad, man. If you at this point in time, like at our age, being a Jets fan, like 80 to 85, probably more honestly, maybe like 95% of your life has just been watching them lose. Like, have they had a winning season? Like, I actually cannot
Last time was
recall the last winning
2015.
season.
2015. The last time they made the playoffs, we were in third grade.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Is that when the
15
Steelers
years.
beat you or
That's
no?
insane.
Yeah, it's when the Steelers beat us in the AFC Championship game.
Beautiful.
That's,
Not beautiful.
that's
Poor
3
Chris.
years. That's 3 years before I even moved to Oceanside.
Oh my
It's
god.
Oh my
Unreal.
god.
Oh my
The
god.
Jets haven't been in the playoffs.
You
since
weren't even. Oh my god.
3 years before I got to Oceanside was the last time the Jets have made the playoffs.
That is crazy.
Yeah,
That's
it's rough.
that's
Holy
horrible.
shit.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I do think
League
that
didn't
is.
exist.
I do think that's the perfect way to end the
Obviously.
video, though.
Yeah. 100%.
So-
100%.
Obviously, thank you guys for watching. Big thank you to Jeremy, Scott, and Tyler. Obviously, thank you for Tyler for hopping on every week. Thank you for Jeremy and Scott for hopping on this week. We'd love to have you guys back on anytime. You just let me know.
Yes, sir,
But
yes, sir.
that'll be all that we
Yeah.
have for you guys today. So thank you guys
Hopefully
for
you guys
watching.
can make it through this one. No, it's a long one.
Yeah, this is a
But
long one.
definitely, some more of you guys hop on.
Yeah,
We're gonna
it'll
keep
talk
doing this,
more. But
obviously.
thank you guys for watching.
I listen to it on 2 times speed. That's what I do anyway.
See you guys next
so
week.
Goes back quicker. Be